Well, good morning, my new YouTube friends. As the caption says, my video today is getting close up and personal on these blighters, which of course is scale. And as you know, I've had last year I had a terrible infestation of scale, and I'm still battling. Well, not as bad, but I can't explain that these scale never, I don't know how they do it, but they don't die. They just, you can put systemic treatment on them, I've done bleach treatment on them, I've done everything to them, and the blighters never seem to die. So, and the reason I'm back again talking about scale is because I've picked up this Cattleya this morning, the one that I've recently mounted, and I've got actually two. I've got one in a pot there, and this is the one. So the one in the pot here is fine, and this one here I must have at some point, because of the fusarium outbreak, I've cut that to make sure it hadn't got fusarium, and with all my mounts now, they usually get watered either every day or every other day, and so today I come to water this one, and I'm very vigilant, which you've got to be, because if you're not vigilant, these little scale, well, they form as adolescents, and they're like little white things which then fluff up before they then emerge into adult scale. So let me just see whether or not I can show you down here. See those little, I've got the magnifying glass over the camera now, so you might get a little bit of reflection, and I'm trying to, but you see those little tiny, there we go, see those little tiny white things round that eye there? Well, that's what alerted me this morning, and I thought, what the heck are them? So then I had a closer inspection, and let's go down into there. Can you just see in those crevices? Can you see that little white there? And then there, there's another little white one there. Now just bear with me a minute. Let me just see which one that it's actually got the scale. See, sorry about that. See, the trouble is they're so tiny. Let me just see if it's that one. Now I'm keeping you there while I, yes. Oops, I'm just trying to. Can you see there? Now, will it stay there while I bring this magnifying glass in? Trouble is, I've got a leaf there. Now I don't know whether that's going to blur, but that's the scale. Now, to all intents and purposes, this one, you know, I was so thrilled the other day because it's got the roots which are now facing downwards, and what I want to do now is just, what I'll have to do is just actually give it another spot treatment. But this is, I'll just put it over here, this systemic treatment, there we go. And sorry, I'm just digressing for a second, but this is the other section of it, which is in a pot here, and I've just checked this one over, and this one's absolutely fine. So I'm just going to put this over here on this shelf here. Now, this systemic treatment that I've been using, it is fierce, and you have to follow the instructions. But it can, because the orchids that I've got were suffering from scale. Scale in itself was depleting the strength of the orchid, because of course what happens is, you know, they suck the blood life out of the orchid. And this one's had the systemic treatment, and straight away 3 of those canes are completely gone. And going back over to that one, 2 of those canes have already gone as well. But there's nothing else you can do. You either decide enough is enough, and you throw your plant away. Let me see if I can get round here. Or you try and save the plant. And I try to save the plant if I can. But sometimes it doesn't matter how much you try, you won't save that plant because it's already weakened with the scale. So if we go down there now, I'm using the magnifying glass again. There's no scale detectable on this plant at the moment, but coming away now, you see that eye? That was a viable eye. But you see, Luke, can you see? What with the scale and the systemic treatment, it's aborted that eye. And there's not really a lot I can do about that one. Now let's go over here. See if I can get in there without causing too much light reflection. Now, the growth there looks fine. The eye to the left, well, to my left, looking down on it, that's another one that's the plant's aborted. But underneath, if I show you, see, that's another one, that's that one. But underneath there is a root coming there. And so I'm not just going to throw this one at the moment. I'm going to see if it'll respond, and this new shoot, see whether or not it develops. I mean, I'm going to lose these 3 canes, but there's nothing else I can do about that anyway. Let me just put that down here now. Bear with me a minute. I wanted to, now I'm right-handed and now I've got to go down and pick up with my left hand. So you'll just bear with me. Sorry about this. And what I'm wanting to do is just bring these, there we go, these 2 orchids back up now. That have also had the systemic treatment. Now, bearing in mind that these orchids I'm showing you now, this is twice that they've had the systemic treatment, and it's very penetrating, this treatment, and they do suffer, but I don't know which is worse. They suffer with the systemic treatment or they suffer with the scale. And my thoughts at the moment are, you've got to get rid of the scale first, because it's pointless. See, there's that little eye there. I'm hoping that might develop into something. So that's okay, that one. And let's have a look. I mean, I've got some new subscribers to my channel, and unless you get up close and personal, and especially with a magnifying glass, that is an orchid grower's best friend, because without this, some of these bugs you would not detect them, and you just need that magnifying glass to take you in there, because some of these, and it doesn't matter whether they're scale or whether they're mealybug. You've got to be able to go in and check. See, all round here, this is where the scale hide. Anything that's got a growing eye, anything that's covered, that's where, over there, you see, like that. I don't think it'll allow me to get in there. And you've got to be so vigilant, you've got to check those leaves. And I do this at least twice a week now. Now let's bring this other big one up here. This is my, no, just hold on because I've got to lift it up out of this shelf here. Bear with me a minute, folks. There we go. See if I can lift it up without catching. Okay. So this is the other one. Now this last time I just did a little spot treatment on this. And this is my Dendrobium Ellen. And this was gifted to me by M.E.s Orchids. And I did detect some scale. And so this has had the treatment. And it's doing very well actually now. And sometimes with this one, let's just turn around if I can, because she's getting very big and she's in really good growth mode at the moment. Let's have a look at that. Not that one, that one. See, some of these you just think, oh dear, what's that? But it isn't, it's just a blemish, that. But these are this is where they get into. They get down there. Now, I don't know whether or not it'll allow me to go in there and have a look without blurring the light. But I think that one's alright now. And that's why I say they get into these little tiny crevices that you'd never believe they would get into. I'm just hoping now. There's some little dried cheese here. And I've never had this type of a dendrobium. And that's another dried leaf. So I don't know at what point these flower. And let's just have a look underneath. And of course the scale, you know, they will come through down here if you're not careful. So you've got to be ever vigilant. I'll just turn around. I can't stress enough, and the reason I'm showing this video again is because for those newcomers who are new to orchids, they may not even know such things as scale. Well, I didn't know when I started such things as scale, mealybugs, existed. And if you're not careful, before you know where you are, they've taken hold, and you've got an infestation. And with scale, I tell you, scale is the worst thing I've ever encountered. And the trouble with scale is they just migrate. They migrate onto another plant so easily. Anyway, all's looking well now. I'll just bring this other little one over that I've recently mounted. Now, as you can see, this was also infested with scale, and this is one of the, let me just bring that's one of the telltale signs, because that's another trait of scale. See if I can bring it there, is that they get down, right down, and you can't get in there, and they go right down in there, and they snug as a bug in a rug, and then they come out, and then they start on the migrating up into your other leaves and everything else like that. And they just, like I've explained, they do suck the lifeblood out of your plant, and before you know where you are, there's nothing you can do, and eventually you just have to throw your plant away. So it's just an updating video really to show the newcomers or anybody starting off orchid growing that unfortunately, you know, orchids do get bugs, and you've got to try and deal with those bugs straight away. Anyway, thank you for bearing with me, and we'll speak again soon. Bye now.